you take all these teams into consideration. I won't be surprised if we see a season where Red Bull is okay, fine, it's fourth fastest, but again, this season Max has he won 8 races out of 20, 21 or 22. I don't think he's winning the next 2 races, so he's probably going to end with 33% of race wins.
Yeah.
If next season he wins even 5 or 6 races, all of them are wet races or whatever, and he just keeps picking the points again and again and again, and he's still there just maximizing everything. With the kind of shenanigans that goes on around him in the other 3 teams, he could win the title. I mean,
Yeah.
How should it actually be a surprise? Switching gears right now, let's talk about the future of Max and Red Bull, right? Because I think we cannot escape from the fact that Red Bull was P5 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's not the fastest car anymore, at least in most conditions.
There's a very real possibility this could be Max's last title with Red Bull.
Yeah.
In fairness, with the way Formula 1 goes, for all we know, this could be his last title, full stop. We've seen stranger things in this sport.
Exactly.
Even with... But I would imagine he will try and do a team switch if this is his last title with Red Bull. But that's what makes this season so impressive for Max. He is not winning in a team that has been out and out fastest the whole way through the season. Context is key. He did have the fastest car for the first, quarter of the season? Yeah, first quarter of the season.
Yeah.
So, that did help, but that doesn't take away from just the stellar job he did. But looking at his future...
the very basic stat is, since Miami, he's extended his championship lead, and that should tell you everything.
Yeah, brilliant.
There's no more discussion after that. It's just end of story.
Amazing.
And during the...
I was just going to say, it says as much about how brilliant Max and Red Bull have been at dealing with this as it says about how fucking terrible McLaren have been dealing with things. And I hope that Max does say thank you to Zach Brown for helping him win the championship this year. Which he kind of did.
That was epic. I think that was as good as Fernando Alonso approaching Johnny Herbert and telling him, I was a world champion. you weren't. That's why you became a commentator.
But I think I would say there's a good 50% chance that this could be his last title with Red Bull, because I don't think next year is going to go particularly well. And then the question and the reality is, if next year doesn't go very well, how much faith does he have that Red Bull will be the winning team in 2026? And
let's break it down. Let's break it down a bit more. Let's analyze the players that will be there next season. Because again, Mercedes threw a spanner in the wings just with the kind of race weekend that they had. So what we have is, again, the key question that we're actually asking is,
sorry,
it was actually put down by. Sorry,
just before you give the key question, the funniest thing for me from yesterday was, remember how I've been saying and repeatedly to you that Mercedes just don't understand this concept or these regs at all? Yeah. Toto Wolff at the start of the race on the grid basically said, we don't understand why we're here. And then Hamilton in the post-race was like, we don't really understand why. And George as well was like, yeah, we don't really know.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you mean you don't know? That's why Max cannot go to Mercedes right now, because they don't know why they're good or why they're bad. They just know their car works sometimes and doesn't other times. Sorry, I interrupted you. I just thought that was really funny.
No, go for it. No, that's fine. It's just that, the biggest question right now is this the last time Red Bull and Max Verstappen win the title? I think for that you have to ask one more thing. Okay, Red Bull and Max Verstappen are not winning the title. Who is then? Which team is ready to actually take that mantle? That's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Because just to delve deeper into, and I think you mentioned the first contender out of it. Mercedes have no fucking clue what the car does.
No idea.
It's basically, they just come into a weekend and it's like rolling the dice. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll whine on the radio and say, Lewis, we are sorry, the car did not work this time.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm sorry, Lewis. We left the pieces on the shelf along with your career. Yeah.
Oh, poor guy had to walk back that course so many times this weekend. It was hilarious to see.
Honestly, even Crofty and we'll talk about it
later.
later. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just that. Anyways, the second team is Ferrari, a team that has zero clue of how to manage driver dynamics when there's a Carlos Sainz in the team. and next season there will be Lewis Hamilton in the team who would actually tell them to shut up whenever something is actually put forward. That's Ferrari, by the way. And then
they should have kept
McLaren.
Sainz. But anyway,
Yeah. And the next team is McLaren, and they've shown already how ready they are to actually not win the title. So you take all these teams into consideration. I won't be surprised if we see a season where Red Bull is okay, fine, it's fourth fastest, but again, this season Max has he won 8 races out of 20, 21 or 22. I don't think he's winning the next 2 races, so he's probably going to end with 33% of race wins.
Yeah.
If next season he wins even 5 or 6 races, all of them are wet races or whatever, and he just keeps picking the points again and again and again, and he's still there just maximizing everything. With the kind of shenanigans that goes on around him in the other 3 teams, he could win the title. I mean,
Yeah.
How should it actually be a surprise?
I just think it's like the reason I say it's 50-50 is because at the moment the real question is there a higher, like how high is the ceiling on these regs for these cars, right? So like if we're right at the ceiling, then there's a good chance he could win next year, because basically even if Red Bull have to change like some fundamental things about their car, they won't be far off next year, and then it will come down to driver and their operating decisions, in which case Red Bull could very well be in the fight. If there is a bit of a higher ceiling, that for me is when it is, I think, all in the hands of Ferrari and McLaren. And the reason I say that is just because Ferrari and McLaren could end up with a much faster car from the start of the season, and when you have a much faster car, then you can overcome some of those operational issues as long as they're not constant. And I think the only saving grace for McLaren is I think there will be some very strong conversations over the winter. Maybe not though, because I mean they said they weren't ever in the driver's fight, which was just stupid. Yeah, Ferrari's going to be problematic, isn't it? Yeah, like you're right. Like it could be like Max could win the championship next year. The reason at the moment I think it's 50-50 is just because it really depends on the car. And I think the reason it gives advantage to Ferrari and McLaren is because if Ferrari and McLaren both show up with faster cars than Red Bull, right? I think Ferrari and McLaren will have more to gain by continually developing over the course of the season, because Red Bull will be thinking more long term. They'll be thinking about 2026. They've got the new engine. They've got all this new pressure on them. 2026 cannot be a shit show. And losing a title in 2025 to focus heavily on 2026, I think would be Horner's gamble, basically his play.
You think he'll do that?
I don't know, because
I don't think Red Bull works that way.
Maybe not. But yeah, I guess because if you look at 2021, they didn't work that way, did they? They focused. It's just because of the engine and the situation that Horner's in with the board now. I feel like things have changed slightly. I think Mercedes will write off 2025. I think Mercedes won't. Because Mercedes will have 2 new drivers. They'll be very much focused on 2026. I think Mercedes will basically write 2025 off once the season starts. McLaren, I think, will keep going, because I think they know as well as anyone else 2026 is a coin flip for them as well. And I think Ferrari is the same, because Ferrari is now going into, unless they win the Constructors this year, it'll be a record of not having titles for them at the end of this season.
Is it?
Yeah. The last time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the last time I think was 15 seasons. Now it's 16 if they don't win this year. As far as I remember, because it was 1979
to 2000. to 1999. That's 20 years,
No,
right?
1983 to or 1982
Okay, you're
to
talking about
1999. Constructors, yeah, not
Okay.
not drivers, constructors. So this will be a
Yeah,
record.
they won in 83. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They won in 83 and they won in 99.
well,
Yeah.
not winning either title basically. But that not just whatever way you want to calculate it, but not winning
No,
either
got
title.
it.
Yeah. So it'll be a record if they don't win this season. So I just think
Yeah.
you say they don't care. John Elkann definitely does. The board at Ferrari definitely does. I don't know. I'm excited for next year because I genuinely it could go it could go any way at the moment, and I think the good thing is the teams are getting closer.
Going to happen is I don't think that either of the four teams would be that far apart from the benchmark that they could willingly and definitively just call time on the season. I think they'll be in a situation where it's just like they could see that, okay, we just get one upgrade which is worth 2 to 3 tenths and we're there.
And if that happens, it'll be an amazing season because you'll have
and what's going to happen is come 2026 there'll be one team that has just basically called time on 2025, and then it will be fighting for the championship in 2026. No, it will be Williams.
If we
Franco
get
Colapinto will be the world champion.
if we get Colapinto and Alonso fighting for the title in 2026, beautiful.
Yeah. Wow.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah. I think for me the biggest thing is right now what we've seen. Okay, we probably didn't notice. Jeppe P. Olesen, I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
He shared the whole list of teams bringing upgrades, the timeline and everything, and I just realized that in Austin, McLaren brought a massive upgrade. And since Austin, how many races has McLaren won?
None.
0.
Yep.
And has it been the fastest car in every race? Has it encountered issues with its car? The answer is yes, it has. And that should tell you everything about the fact that these regulations, they are not easy to understand. This is why predicted out of the blue, Mercedes comes in and blows everyone out of the water.
This is why I think the question is, are we at the ceiling or is there some more to gain? And I think the evidence so far points to us being quite close to the ceiling. There's not much.
Also thought so, right? In 2019, there was this impression that we are almost there and teams are converging, and then we come to 2020 and there's DAS, there's quite a few new tricks, and everyone else is just...
That's what I'm saying. It points towards it, but with Formula One, it's never cut and shut. Like we don't know until we get there. Like we could get to 2024 or 2025, and Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, or Mercedes could have just figured something out, and boom, we get a 2023-esque.
By the way,
same. Look, it's going to be a hard one to call on the cars. The thing is, if the cars are all very close, then realistically that is advantage max, right? Because Mercedes have got they've got a rookie in 2025, so that's going to be tough. Like if he wins a title in his first season, wow. But yeah,
okay, imagine the blowback. Oh please, that I wish that happens. I mean, if
he does the thing that Hamilton couldn't, yeah.
Okay. I didn't even think on those lines. It was just that Hamilton's replacement wins the title. But
but also Hamilton's replacement wins the title in his rookie season, which Hamilton didn't.
And he'd be the youngest ever to do it. So he'll basically annoy 2 fan bases.
Yeah.
Great. Team Kimi Antonelli, let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
Let's just go for it.
But yeah, look, I think the thing is, I don't have faith in Mercedes to have a car that could win throughout the season, because right now they just don't seem to understand their car.
To be fair, they don't need to win all races. What they need is 6 or 7 races where temperature is very low, and they'll just win 7 races, and other races they just camper through. That's
sure. I mean, anything could happen, but if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be betting on Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I think Russell. Look, if Russell had the right car, I think he'll fight for a championship. I think he will.
Just look at what happened this weekend.
If Red Bull are close to everyone else, then Max has a good chance of winning the title because Max will not fall apart. Red Bull will make the right decisions and Max will maximize everything.
Yeah.
It's Ferrari and McLaren that are the real questions, aren't they? Because, like, McLaren have everything on their plate now to have learned all the lessons they need to fight for a title next year. But I'm concerned that they're not going to learn from any of them. And that's my worry. And then Ferrari are utterly brilliant when they want to be. And then
No. They are utterly brilliant when no one expects them to be. And
Yes.
when everyone expects them to do well,
or when they need to do well.
or when they need to do well, it's... I mean, just imagine this weekend. This weekend is no different, honestly. It's... And anyways...
Science was calling strategy again. And by the way, calling correct strategy as it turns out, right? And this is why I think Ferrari, may have made a mistake because Hamilton... Look, as brilliant as Hamilton is, he does not often call his own strategies. He's just not that type of driver, right? So you've got Leclerc who never does it. You've got Hamilton who never does it. And you've got Ferrari who never gets the strategy right. So, who's going to be calling the strategies?
I mean, that's okay.
There's another issue actually as well. One of the head strategic guys from Red Bull has gone to McLaren for next year. That could make a change.
Yeah.
That could help.
The one that was just...
It's Will...
I know which one you're talking about. But again, there are
It's
so
not
many
Hannah
people that have
Schmidt. Hannah Schmidt.
No, Hannah Schmidt is...
She's the
Hannah
top
Schmidt is
dog.
actually getting even promoted to a new role.
she's the top man at the team.
Yeah.
It's a funny way to say it. But yeah, Ferrari I just don't trust because Sainz called it, right? Sainz called it. He came into the pit.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Right, anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that should wrap it up. Ultimately, if we have to talk about 2025, is this the last time Max wins the title?
Will Courtney is that?
Yeah, Will Courtney. Will Courtney left.
He's the head.
He joins
head of
next
race strategy.
Season. I think he joins next season in March or February or something.
I'll tell you now. He might not be able to go there until... He might not be able to take up the option until 2026.
I read the wrong thing. I think there are so many people that have actually left Red Bull and joined other teams.
McLaren will have to wait a little under 2 years for Courtney to join the team, though, with Red Bull saying he continues to be part of the team, seeing out his contract. So it sounds like he'll be on gardening leave, but I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's going to be sporting director there. He's head of race strategy at the minute.
Yeah, basically the role that Jonathan Wheatley has.
Yeah. What's Hannah Schmidt then is the principal strategy engineer. Okay, yeah, right. So he's head of strategy. She's principal. So she's probably moving up to his position. I would assume that.
No, he was below her apparently. I don't know. Even I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Oh, you know what it is. There's the strategy team, and then there's the race strategy team. So you've got Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. There's they're really complex, these teams. But
yeah. Just to wrap it up, I think if even if at the start of the next season, assuming Red Bull does not fall apart in terms of performance, I think Max is still the favorite. I'd still say he's the favorite. That's where I kind of end up with the whole thing.
Yeah.